Okay, so let's go ahead and do example 1 together. We have solve 2y minus 4x is greater than 6. The first thing we need to do is get it in slope-intercept form. So what do I do first to get this in slope-intercept form? Anthony? So I have 2y is greater than 4x plus 6. When you're doing this stuff, keep in mind the same inequality rules still apply. Like if I divide by a negative, I'm not, but if I were to, what would I have to do? Yeah, I don't have to in this problem, but if I do divide or multiply by a negative, I just wrote that. Then I would have to flip it. Not with two variables. We did slope-intercept form. It's almost like we're putting two things that we've done together. Like we did slope-intercept form and we've done inequalities with one variable, so we're just kind of putting them together.
Is it literally the same thing as with like the inequality sign?
Yeah. And you have to shade up or down.
Why was I not told this?
Jeremiah? Okay, so listen, if this confuses you, ignore it. But it's just saying this is the line we're going to graph. And then you can think about the greater than or less than. But this is the line that we're graphing. Okay, so we have the M is 2, the B is 3. We begin with the B. And then we go up 2, 1 to the right. Is this going to be a full line or is it going to be a dashed line? To be honest, I forget to do a dashed line all the time, and then I just erase like some of my pencil marks. Look at my line though. Do you see my line covers the whole graph? You want your line to cover the entire graph. That way when you shade, it's clear which parts you need to shade. So I know some of us are used to making little bitty lines. Don't do that in this.
How can you tell if it's the brother and so I mean, but like, what if it's like
just do the best you can. I mean, just try to make it clear. So now look at my equation in slope-intercept form. This is the inequality symbol you want to look at. See, it says y is greater than 2x plus 3. What I do is I look at the y-intercept. Since it says greater than, I shade the area above. So I shade this whole area. Just go above the line. Because it's greater than that line.
it's greater than y?
How do you know which
But
one to
why
put it
is-
on? Like which on the side?
Think about like above and below the line. Go to any point on the line, and we're going above it.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, but like the numbers get greater on the left side and then
Right.
the right side goes down.
So
Okay.
think about it as we're looking at the y-axis. It says the y is greater. Think about the greater parts of the y. Because the y-axis is the higher you go up, the greater it gets. Think about it that way. So a lot of people get confused when it comes to the shading part because they get confused on, do I need to shade above or below? So if you do get confused, I have a way for you to check. So the way for you to check is actually right here, but I'm going to write it out again, is you're going to get a test point. The point that I always test is 0, 0, just because it's the easiest point there is. So you want to look at 0, 0 on your graph and say, is 0, 0, is it in the shaded spot or is it not shaded? In this case, it's not shaded. So because it's not shaded, that means when I plug it into the equation, it should be false. So we're going to plug it into the inequality and see, is it going to be false? So this is x, this is y. So I do 2 times 0 minus 4 times 0 is greater than 6. 0 is greater than 6. So now ask yourself, is this true or false?
True.
0 is greater than 6?
Wait.
Why do we need to do this? Okay, so let me back up. Listen, this is not something you have to do. This is what you can do if you want to check to see if you shaded the correct way. You pick, no, if it's less than, you're going to be above. If it's less than, you're going to be below. If it's greater than, you're going to be above. You can, but some people just get them confused. But if you want to check, pick any point. I just picked 0, 0 because it's easier. And I see that 0, 0 is not in the shaded area, so when I plug it in, it should be false. It shouldn't work out. So I plugged that into the original equation, and I got 0 is greater than 6, which is false.
But how do you know which way to shade?
Yeah, it's false.
So if it's false, like 0,
I'm not talking about the
yeah, I know, hold on. But since this is in the false area, that means this side of it should not be shaded. The true side of it should be shaded.
Yeah, but
You're saying before that, how do you know? So because it's greater than, put your pen at any point on the line. Okay? So it's greater than, so I go up. And this area should be shaded. If it's less than, I'm going to go down. And this area should be shaded.
if it's greater than, it's above line.
It's below. So if you want to write it right here, greater than or equal to, we go up. Less than or less than or equal to, we go down. The test is just to check. Because sometimes, especially when the line is really steep, you start to second guess yourself. And this is a way to know for sure.
Okay.
Okay. I'll give y'all a second to write, and then we're going to go to the next one.
When's our test on this?
Next Friday.
Oh.
Wait, so this, when we have the test, is it going to be divided into two? Are we going to have from 1 to however many? Are we going to have a quiz on 6?
No. We're going to have a little graded assignment probably, but not like a quiz. Okay, go to the next page. So, same instructions, we're just going to graph this, and we need to shade. What is the first thing I have to do with this inequality?
Yeah.
The y on one side.
But specifically, your y needs to be on what side?
The left.
Left. I'm sorry. Who can tell me what you're going to get on the right side of this inequality? If you need a second to finish, that's okay. But what are you going to get on this right side? I don't want decimals. Jack?
Yeah. It's going to be 1/2 minus x over 4.
Alright, I'm going to write the x first. But instead of x over 4, what can I write to help me a little? Devin? Jack, what you said isn't wrong. This just helps us see the slope a little bit.
I like it.
If you want to write it that way, it's fine. It's not a big deal.
That's not a thing, because I didn't know what 1 of
Oh, no. So now my m is going to be negative 1/4. My b is going to be 1/2. You can do 1/2 as your y-intercept. Just right in between the 0 and 1 lines. and then I'm going to go down 1, 4 to the right. So my other point's going to be at 4, negative 1/2. Is this going to be a solid line or a dashed line?
Solid.
Good.
Wait,
Hmm?
wait. Because it has a little line.
Carly, do you have a question?
Oh, never mind.
So now you want to look at this equation, your equation, when it's in slope-intercept form, and think, do I shade above or below?
Above.
Above. So it's this area. Okay, so I am going to do a test point. Right, you don't have to do this on every single problem. It's just good to do if you're second guessing yourself. I'm going to test 0, 0 again. But before I do it, I need to check to see, should this be true or false? Is it in the shaded area? No, it's not in the shaded area, so it should be false. So I'm plugging it into my original equation. And I get 0 is greater than or equal to 2.
How'd you get 2?
That's the original. Okay, so is this true or false? False, and that's what it should be. It's supposed to be false, so I got it. Okay, so the next problem is really similar to something you've done before. What is different about example 2 right here? Yeah, there's no y. So that means we can't really get it in slope-intercept form. You just want to isolate the variable that's there. So this is already done for you. They isolated the x. And so we get x is less than or equal to 2. Raise your hand if you remember, how do you graph something like this? Like, how do you graph x equals 2? Jeremiah? It's going to be a vertical line. Because it's x equals 2, that means it's going to go through the x-axis. If it were y equals a number, it would go through the y-axis. So it should be a solid line and vertical. So think about less than 2. Almost think about the number line up here on the wall. Think about where are the smaller numbers, on the left or on the right? The left. So if it's less than, go to the left. The whole left side. Yeah.
It's basically the same stuff, except the only thing we have to memorize is like if it's a dot or like a dash or a straight line.
Yeah. And look, you know how before we would look at the arrow?
Yeah.
You can really do it here too. You see? It's pointing to the left.
Is that on every single one?
Wait, what?
It doesn't really work on the ones that are vertical lines, but it works on ones like this.
Wow.
That's why. Anthony?
I was like, why did
Because that's where the original side was. Okay, so I'm not going to do this because we're short on time. Look here. So we can do a test point. Again, 0, 0. But look here. This time, where's 0, 0? Shaded or not? Okay, so that means this time it should be true. So we worked it out, and it was true. So that means it's correct. All right, go to the next page. We're going to skip this one at the top for right now because I want to get in this word problem, and then I'll let you go back to it.
Word problem?
Mm-hmm. So it says, Neil wants to run a marathon at a pace of at least 6 miles per hour. Write and graph an inequality for the miles y he will run in X hours. Okay, so this is already written for you right here. If you think about what the variables represent, it makes sense. The y miles he wants to run needs to be greater than 6 miles in each hour. It needs to be greater than or equal to 6 miles per hour. So if I'm going to graph this, what is my m? 6. My b is 0. Because remember, it's almost like saying plus 0. Yeah, the first point's at the origin. And then I go up 6 over 1. We all getting this? So this should, again, be a full line. So this is one of those ones, like when it's steeper, sometimes it's harder for us to tell. Okay, what we're talking about?
Okay. So going this way is greater than.
Hey, Jeremiah made a good point.
So yeah, we got
Does it make sense for this line to go down here in the negative?
No, I just know.
Oh, I didn't hear you say it. I'm sorry. No, it really doesn't make sense. So some people will draw their line where it doesn't go into the negative, and some people will go ahead and draw it where it does. I think both are fine. So like if you stopped your line right there, that'd be okay.
Why would you not do that?
Yeah, only if it was a word problem and it made sense, like with the word problem. But if you also drew it longer, that's okay too. So greater than, that means above the line. So the left side, above it.
Okay, I understand why it would be on the left side, but why would you want a negative on it?
That's what we were just saying. Like this part, if you didn't draw the bottom quadrants, then that would make sense. Yeah. So like you only had to draw from there up. And really you didn't have to draw this side either. You could just draw right here. And
I'm
shade
just
right
gonna
here.
go with that.
Okay, on your own, before you pack up, I want you to do the problem right above it that we skipped. And then we'll save the back page for next week. I know. We're in the computer lab.
I already did this.
You did tonight's homework?
No, it's having
Oh, okay. I thought you said I already did tonight's homework.
that one.
No, he didn't.
Please listen up for a few afternoon announcements.
I'm working this out. Don't pack up until you check it.
Tomorrow, you can purchase
Charles, do you hear me?
during PE.
Don't pack this up until you check it with mine.
During lunch. Don't forget the dance is $3. Mandatory dance team tryouts will be on February the 8th at 5:30 at the THS Library. If you're interested in trying out for TMS Majorette, the meeting will be held at TMS on February the 16th at 6 o'clock. Please make sure you have an updated